Thank you. Thank you, Erica. I wasn't quite sure whether I should step up or just rest my case after this. You stole my thunder. Group number one, the World Forum at its best. We had 4 panelists, but the whole group was together, about 20 participants, and in the end we had one panel. Different causes, but one message, or a couple of messages I would say, but all in the same direction. So, you just, am I doing, stepping on my line? Yeah. So here are the findings of the jury of group number one. Now, the first line is a little bit, is not what we intended. For those who were in the group and who were in the group yesterday, they know my thunder here, why I'm here, why I think the issue is important and urgent. Beware of Monday, 12 October 2015. Monday, always a crisis. September, October, always a crisis. And 7 years later, always a crisis. And the crisis will be in our supply chains. It will be with our planetary boundaries. It will be because we have not included the underprivileged in our society, in our economy, in our world. So that was one of the quotes which I think is relevant for the group. The second one was, I think, the overriding theme. It was business-oriented, both the financial sector and the financial and the business center. Self-perpetuation, and that's what one of the differences between business and governments is that governments are by definition not self-perpetuating. At least they should not, because after 4 years they should be changing. But the business is self-perpetuating itself. It has a license to operate, and that requires a long-term vision, a view, and action now to justify its license to operate. The second point is that we all recognize the issues which we have at stake are so gigantic, complex, urgent. We cannot walk alone. I would say, not with Martin Luther King, but David King, we cannot walk alone. But also, referring to David King, we have a dream, and we don't have a nightmare. It also means that we have to work together, private sector, business sector, private sector, governments, civil society. And I think what you see now, what you've seen in Greece or in North Africa, I think it's very evident that the power of the people is becoming ever more prevalent. And one of the things which we were discussing is, where is the power of the responsible consumer or the responsible investor? We need to have ambition to work together, and I think that's what this forum has brought all of us. And that was quite apparent in our group as well, the diversity of ideas, of backgrounds, academics, NGOs, business, financial sector, was quite obvious that we need to understand each other. Do we speak the same language? And we did an experiment, and we did quite well. Most of us thought in the same direction. Not that creative, but that's fine. But in the end, I think the result of the group, and I think Erica is going to represent that later in the overview, was quite satisfactory. But it requires ambition and a listening ability. The second last point, it must be cool. I mean, we discussed regulation, we discussed taxes, we discussed the impossibilities. In the end, we said everything is possible, particularly when it's inevitable. And that's what we felt about ecosystems and biodiversity. We have to incorporate it in our corporate government policy and our consumer and investment behavior. We have all those different hats. At some point in time, we only have one hat. And be ourselves consistent and coherent. We talk about the cohesion within the scientific community. We're talking about the cohesion in policy. But we ourselves are not coherent. From 9 to 5 or from 6 to 8, sometimes we have different positions. And I think we have to bring them into face. The last point, which I think was quite apparent from our group, execution. We can dream high, we can dream with our feet on the ground, but all what matters is, what do we do? And I think that was the spirit of the group, and again, the details will be provided by Eric, I think, later.
Before we go, if you had to say, if you had to capture the actual plans, the specific plans, right here, in a few words, what would they be? Just to make sure we're clear.
All right. The three words which I would like to leave with you on behalf of the group is leveraging each other's capabilities by defining complementary roles and making sure there's additional risk sharing. In other words, we're in it together. We need to work together. We need to understand each other. We need to understand what is driving each of us, the financial sector, the business sector, the government sector. And if we are smart in defining how we work together, we can find solutions which is leveraging our activities and where the one is going to assist the other one. The synergetic opportunity for us is enormous if we just start listening, conceiving, and in the end, acting. Can I leave it there?
Thank you.